another lie. And by the way, Meghan, if you don't like me calling you a liar, just sue me and we'll go through all this in court.
A breathtaking media war has officially erupted as host Piers Morgan bluntly exposed what he claims is the true face behind Meghan Markle's latest series, igniting the most direct and ruthless chain of clashes ever seen between the Sussexes and the British royal family. No longer choosing to stay silent and endure the attacks, Meghan immediately launched a counteroffensive by publicly alleging that she had once been set up by the royal family and deliberately lured into the palace for their own financial gain. Faced with what many viewed as stubborn defiance that pushed William's fury to its breaking point, the Prince of Wales was reportedly forced to step in personally, unveiling dark confidential documents, along with a series of living witnesses in an effort to expose Meghan's alleged power-hungry ambitions when she entered the royal household. What shocking scheme will these classified files and first-hand witnesses reveal about Meghan? And what punishment and disastrous fate will the Duchess ultimately face in the court of public opinion? Watch until the very end to uncover the full extent of this brutal truth. Piers Morgan once again continued his relentless criticism of Meghan Markle live on television. This time his target was aimed directly at her newly released lifestyle series on Netflix, titled With Love, Meghan. While fans had been anticipating a breakout success, Piers Morgan poured cold water over those expectations with a series of exceptionally harsh remarks. He did not hesitate to label the entire series as a vain project, an empty product designed to serve personal self-interest rather than provide any real value to viewers. The veteran broadcaster even used the phrase unwatchable to describe the quality of the show's content. To illustrate just how poor he believed it was, Piers Morgan admitted an embarrassing truth he gave up and switched off his screen after just 10 minutes because he could no longer tolerate what he saw as the awkwardness and artificiality Meghan displayed on camera. Not content with making broad criticisms, Piers Morgan delved deeper into specific moments from the series and highlighted what he considered one of its most painfully awkward scenes involving Meghan and a guest. The moment featured her close friend, billionaire actress Mindy Kaling. During their conversation, Meghan abruptly interrupted and corrected Mindy Kaling on live television simply because her friend referred to her by her real name. The Duchess visibly expressed her dissatisfaction and immediately corrected her friend, insisting that people address her using the royal title Sussex. Piers Morgan emphasized that this behavior exposed what he saw as a ridiculous contradiction within Meghan's public image. On one hand, she attempts to portray herself as relatable and down-to-earth, yet on the other, she remains deeply attached to and dependent upon the glamour associated with a British aristocratic title. Beyond dissecting the new series, Piers Morgan also revisited the past in an effort to demonstrate what he believes is Meghan's true character. He recounted in detail an incident from 2016 when Meghan was still a relatively unknown actress. At that time, it was Meghan who allegedly took the initiative to contact Piers Morgan, sending messages, introducing herself, and arranging to meet him. The two even shared drinks at a local pub and reportedly enjoyed a pleasant conversation together. Yet, according to Morgan, as soon as Meghan became acquainted with and gained access to Prince Harry, she immediately cut off all contact with him without offering any explanation or even a word of thanks. This abrupt and ruthless turnaround led the television host to deliver a particularly scathing assessment describing her as entirely opportunistic, a social climber willing to treat former acquaintances as stepping stones in order to ascend higher within elite society. These forceful and heavily documented accusations from Piers Morgan quickly sent shockwaves across digital platforms. Clips from the broadcast spread at extraordinary speed, sparking intense reactions throughout social media and generating countless comments criticizing Meghan. Online users flooded discussion forums with remarks expressing frustration, mocking what they viewed as her obsession with status and wealth, as well as the allegedly artificial lifestyle that had been exposed on television. The backlash surged to a new peak, pushing the growing boycott movement to yet another level. Will Meghan continue to remain silent and absorb the attacks, or will she unveil another strategy to strike back against this overwhelming wave of criticism from both public opinion and Piers Morgan? In response to the wave of public backlash closing in around her, and the harsh criticism directed at her from all sides, Meghan Markle did not choose to remain silent. Instead, she suddenly spoke out through an official statement leveling explosive accusations directly at the palace. In the message delivered to the public, Meghan openly alleged that she had once been actively pursued by the British royal family and drawn into what she described as a carefully orchestrated narrative. She firmly maintained that at the time, she and Prince Harry were merely in the early stages of getting to know each other, that their relationship had not progressed very far, and that she herself had never intended to become deeply involved in royal life. However, according to Meghan, it was the royal family that quietly worked behind the scenes, allegedly constructing and even fabricating an entirely false narrative about her in order to shape the public perception. To further support her argument, Meghan directly cited what she described as the palace's scheme from those years, when Harry and I had only just begun meeting and taking those first steps of getting to know one another. The royal family immediately saw me as a lucrative media opportunity. They took it upon themselves to mold, stage, and fabricate the story of a modern woman and a symbol of diversity to present before the public. They actively fed these narratives to the media, encouraging endless praise and turning me into a tool of mass publicity. None of those actions were motivated by respect for me or a genuine desire to welcome me. They simply wanted to exploit the attention, recognition, and image of an African-American actress to polish the reputation of a monarchy that many viewed as outdated. This forceful statement from Meghan immediately sent the media into a frenzy, shifting public attention away from the Netflix series and toward an entirely new direct confrontation with the royal family. However, Buckingham Palace's response this time was remarkably swift and decisive, showing neither delay nor compromise. Almost immediately after Meghan's allegations began spreading widely, Prince William reportedly intervened personally. Rather than relying on carefully worded palace press releases, William allegedly chose to contact Meghan directly through her personal email address. In the contents of this highly tense email, the Prince of Wales reportedly used exceptionally firm language, demanding that Meghan clearly and transparently explain the basis for what he viewed as the defamatory accusations she had made. At the same time, William reportedly issued a warning, insisting that Meghan refrain from dragging the name and reputation of the royal family into future statements that he considered inflammatory and lacking factual support. The personal email reflected the determined and uncompromising stance of the future king, signaling that he would not tolerate what he saw as distortions of the truth originating from Montecito. The intervention did not stop with a private warning delivered by email. Prince William also stepped directly into the public spotlight to present what he described as the facts. Standing before reporters and television cameras, the Prince of Wales delivered an official statement intended to dismantle the accusations made by his sister-in-law. William's tone was cold, yet measured, clear, and unwavering. We completely reject the baseless allegations that have recently been made by Meghan. I want to state clearly and unequivocally before the public that Harry and Meghan's courtship and relationship were entirely voluntary and private matters between the two of them. The royal family never intervened, never pressured her, and never took any action to bring her into the palace for commercial or media purposes of any kind. Every decision regarding their relationship came from them alone. To reinforce his rebuttal and demonstrate that the British royal family was not merely relying on words, Prince William concluded his remarks with a statement carrying an unmistakable warning signaling readiness for a legal or media confrontation, if necessary. The British royal family has always respected privacy, but we will not remain silent in the face of fabrications that damage the honor of our family. If Meghan continues to promote these false narratives, We are prepared to make public and present verified evidence and authentic documentation to prove the truth before the entire public. This direct confrontation, marked by sharp and uncompromising rhetoric from both sides, pushed the relationship between the Sussexes and the British royal family into a new and increasingly tense chapter, setting the stage for a media war with no path of retreat. Faced with Prince William's stern warning and his threat to release evidence, will Meghan back down, or will she continue fighting back in defense of her claims? Refusing to be intimidated by the threat and warning email from the Prince of Wales, Meghan Markle immediately launched a fiery and direct media counteroffensive. Appearing in an official response statement, Meghan forcefully rejected every denial issued by the palace and continued directing her attacks toward the royal family. She delivered a series of emphatic assertions in defense of her position, stressing that it was the British royal family that had gone to every possible length, using every available tactic to bring her into the family as a daughter-in-law. Yet according to Meghan's bitter account, once they had achieved their media objectives, they abruptly changed their attitude and began treating her with coldness and cruelty. In an effort to strengthen her credibility in the eyes of the public, Meghan directly delivered a deeply bitter statement, clearly outlining her view of what she had endured within the palace. "I want the public to know one truth. It was the royal family that did everything possible to bring me into their family. But the moment I became their daughter-in-law, they treated me so badly and unfairly that it was beyond imagination. They never regarded me as a genuine member of the family. Instead, they saw me as nothing more than a cheap tool whose image could be exploited for the palace's media campaigns. When I realized that I could no longer endure that injustice and emotional exploitation, I made the firm decision to leave the royal family. Even Harry felt that his family had gone too far and could not accept the way they treated his wife, which is why he chose to give up everything and leave with me." Meghan's rebuttal poured gasoline onto an already raging fire, directly challenging what remained of Buckingham Palace's patience. Furious and deeply outraged by what he viewed as false smears and a blatant distortion of history from his sister-in-law, Prince William, reportedly abandoned his previously measured silence. In an effort to defend the honor of the family and that of his own wife, William allegedly decided to unleash a devastating blow by revealing an explosive secret that had been carefully concealed for years. That secret, according to the claims, was a handwritten letter that Meghan Markle herself had once written in black ink on white paper, apologizing and pleading to remain within the royal family, while earnestly requesting the noble titles she had long desired. Standing before international media outlets and news organizations, Prince William reportedly announced what he described as a historical truth drawn directly from palace archives in order to shatter Meghan's victim narrative. "Today, I am forced to reveal a truth that the royal family once chose to conceal out of compassion for Meghan. This is a handwritten letter that she personally wrote, filled with emotional pleas and expressions of deep remorse. The truth is completely opposite to what she is now claiming. The reason she was compelled to write this letter was because Meghan had previously stolen an extremely valuable piece of jewelry belonging to Princess Kate. When this act of dishonesty was discovered, rather than being expelled or publicly exposed, she was shown unconditional mercy and compassion by Kate and other members of the royal family. Meghan wrote this letter desperately, begging for the incident to remain hidden in order to protect her reputation, while also pleading to remain within the royal family, so she could continue receiving noble titles. It was because of those desperate appeals that we chose to forgive her. The royal family neither lured her in nor mistreated her. On the contrary, it was we who saved her honor." The public release of the emotional handwritten letter, combined with the explosive allegations surrounding the jewelry theft, immediately triggered an unprecedented media earthquake. Prince William's direct and uncompromising statements portraying Princess Kate's generosity in stark contrast to what he described as Meghan's insincere repentance in the past pushed the Sussex household into a completely defensive position. The revelations were portrayed as exposing every falsehood allegedly constructed over the years to sustain a narrative of victimhood under the monarchy. Now that the humiliating handwritten letter and the alleged jewelry theft involving Kate have been exposed by William under the glare of the media spotlight, what other dark secrets from Meghan's time inside the palace will be brought into the light next? It did not end there. After publicly revealing the humiliating handwritten letter, allegedly written by his sister-in-law, Prince William, continued pressing the attack, exposing what he described as even more disturbing truths about Meghan Markle's time living within the palace. Standing before members of the media, William leveled a series of serious and direct accusations aimed squarely at both her lifestyle and her moral character. The Prince of Wales did not hesitate to allege that Meghan had abused her noble status and royal position to engage in bullying and psychological intimidation against palace staff members. More seriously still, he claimed that Meghan had attempted to bribe her private secretary in an effort to divert royal family funds for personal benefit. In order to show the public what he described as the true nature of the situation, Prince William delivered a forceful statement detailing what he characterized as Meghan's systematic misconduct. What the public has seen so far is merely the tip of an iceberg built upon deception. The truth is that Meghan repeatedly abused the position and titles granted to her by the royal family in order to treat close staff members cruelly, individuals who had always served the palace with loyalty and dedication. Many of them were driven into states of severe emotional distress because of her unreasonable demands. And it did not stop there. We possess extensive evidence showing that Meghan engaged in questionable conduct, deliberately attempting to bribe her private secretary in order to interfere with and divert royal family funds. This was not merely a violation of palace protocol. It was an abuse of trust and a deliberate attempt at financial gain. William's sharp accusations completely shattered the image Meghan had long cultivated as a woman devoted to human rights and justice. While the public was still struggling to process the Prince of Wales's revelations, another devastating blow struck the Sussex camp. At that very moment, a former close employee, someone who had spent years working alongside Meghan during her time in the palace, stepped forward and agreed to testify publicly. This former staff member revealed what was presented as a shocking truth regarding Meghan's true motives for joining the British royal family, arguing that every move made by the Duchess of Sussex had been part of a carefully calculated plan from the very beginning. In a testimony described as candid and deeply personal, the former employee recounted what he claimed were Meghan's own words, spoken during a period when trust between them had not yet broken down. "I am willing to accept legal responsibility for what I am about to say because I heard these words with my own ears." During a private conversation, when our relationship was still built on trust, Meghan openly told me about her real objective. She said that marrying Harry and entering the royal family was entirely about gaining advantages, taking full advantage of the influence, fame, and privileges that came with royal status. Once she had accumulated enough resources and opportunities, she planned to leave. She never intended to dedicate herself to or remain with this family for the long term. The entire arrangement was simply a stepping stone designed to serve her own personal ambitions. The combination of Prince William's forceful accusations and the direct testimony of a former trusted employee created an overwhelming media pincer movement around Meghan. Their first-hand statements painted what was presented as a stark picture of the palace's darkest hidden corners. Allegations of abuse of power, bullying, of staff bribery, of a secretary, to divert public funds, and a calculated scheme to profit from royal status. In the face of these witnesses and the evidence being presented before the world, every defense put forward by the Montecito camp appeared to be collapsing under mounting pressure. Now that a cascade of allegations involving abuse of power, financial misconduct, and calculated self-interest has been exposed in rapid succession, what fate awaits Meghan in the eyes of the public? Faced with a relentless stream of what were presented as irrefutable evidence and a barrage of sharp exposés from Prince William, as well as the former close employee, Meghan Markle, fell completely silent. There were no more forceful press statements, no more bitter counterattacks, and no exclusive interviews scheduled to clear her name as she had often done in the past. This unsettling silence stood in stark contrast to Meghan's reputation for confrontation, revealing what many perceived as a harsh reality. The Sussex camp had found itself completely cornered, unable to produce any convincing arguments or explanations in response to the documentary evidence, the humiliating handwritten letter, and the first-hand testimony that had now been brought into the public spotlight. It was this very silence that became the final straw, shattering what remained of public trust and triggering devastating consequences for the couple's reputation. As a result, in the United Kingdom, support for Prince Harry and Meghan reportedly suffered a dramatic collapse, plunging to levels even lower than those associated with Prince Andrew, a royal figure who had long endured some of the most severe public criticism and had already been pushed out of public life. For a couple that had consistently portrayed themselves as influential voices with a mission to change the world, finding themselves less trusted than an isolated royal became a crushing blow and an indelible stain on the Sussexes' standing in their homeland. The backlash did not stop at Britain's borders. The storm of public rejection quickly spread across the Atlantic to the United States, a country long viewed as the stronghold and promised land for their post-royal careers. Following the exposure of allegations involving jewelry theft, bullying of palace staff, and schemes for personal financial gain, many Americans reportedly began to lose interest in Meghan's narratives of victimhood. Citizens who traditionally valued honesty and self-made success were portrayed as seeing through what they viewed as the practical self-interest hidden beneath the Duchess's glamorous public image. Public enthusiasm began to fade. Audiences stopped tuning in to online programs, paid less attention to commercial ventures, and gradually turned away from projects associated with the Montecito household, creating an atmosphere of unprecedented indifference. The culmination of this bitter downfall came in the form of what was described as a powerful and coordinated boycott campaign, launched by American audiences and international online communities against Meghan Markle's public image. Brands, media partners, and consumers allegedly began distancing themselves from products and content associated with her in an effort to protect their own reputations. The carefully crafted image of a modern icon, a self-made domestic goddess, promoted through Netflix, was portrayed as having completely collapsed, replaced instead by widespread anger and rejection. From their former position as A-list celebrities, eager to command the attention of the global media, the couple now found themselves confronting isolation, public coldness, and an increasingly uncertain future. The Sussex brand empire had, according to critics, officially reached its expiration date, bringing a long chapter filled with deception to a humiliating and disastrous conclusion before the eyes of the world. Now that every illusion of power, prestige, and influence has seemingly been shattered, could this be the final chapter that brings an end to the Sussexes' presence in both the entertainment world and the royal sphere? How do you feel about Meghan Markle's alleged victim narrative and Prince William's decisive counteroffensive in this story? In your opinion, what lessons or meanings can be drawn from the hidden truths that have supposedly been exposed about the Sussexes regarding the boundary between personal ambition and gratitude in life? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.